Good afternoon and welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Maddie Gardner, joined by Eric Chilton, Lauren Coleman, Jalen Gilkey, and meteorologist Christian Morgan today. Did I get everyone?
Gang's all here.
Got it
Gang
there.
is all
Check.
here. Well, make sure you join in on all the fun on our Facebook page and chat with us on the 4 to 5 live stream.
Yeah, we've got big news today. The FDA and the CDC are recommending a pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now, this comes after 6 people reported cases of rare but severe blood clots forming after getting that shot. Now, the 6 cases are out of 6.8 million doses total. All 6 cases occurred in women between the ages of 18 and 48, and their symptoms developed 6 to 13 days after receiving the vaccination. Dr. Fauci said the pause is out of an abundance of caution, and there is no need to worry right now.
There have been 6 out of the 6.85 million doses, which is less than 1 in a million. You want to make sure that safety is the important issue here. We are totally aware that this is a very rare event. We want to get this worked out as quickly as we possibly can.
Johnson & Johnson issued a statement saying there is no clear relationship between these rare events and its vaccine. There have been similar blood clot concerns with the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is not yet approved for emergency use in the U.S. Dr. Mandy Cohen held a meeting about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine pause today, and while no one in North Carolina has blood clots from that vaccine, Dr. Cohen stressed what the state wanted to follow the FDA and CDC's guidance out of caution.
Today's actions are a result of a vaccine safety system that is working. Our safety monitoring systems are highly sensitive, which is how the CDC could identify such a rare number of events. This pause will allow them to look further at the data and make sure that providers know how to treat this rare blood clot.
And you keep hearing that word rare, but just how common are these blood clots with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine? You might have heard Dr. Fauci say, but out of the 6.8 million Americans who have received the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson shot, only 6 have gotten this rare type of blood clot, but again, it is severe. In all 6 cases, the clots were developed between 6 to 13 days after getting the vaccine, and they noted pain in the abdomen or headache, and that caused them to go to the hospital. If you're past 2 weeks after getting the 1-dose shot, doctors say you should be in the clear.
Meanwhile, both Pfizer and Moderna are looking into offering third shots to increase protection against COVID-19 variants. The companies are offering shots to people who received the original vaccine a year ago in a first stage study, as well as people who haven't been vaccinated yet. The studies will begin this month and will include a few hundred people at first.
Well, one of our state's coronavirus metrics took a pretty big jump today. Now, the graph shows the percentage of tests coming back positive. The latest number is 8.3%. Now, that is high compared to our most recent numbers. In fact, we haven't seen a percentage this high. You have to go back to early February for that. Now, a reminder, the red line is the state's goal of 5%, and we've been doing well dipping below that line, but the last couple of days have really pushed above it.
Let's turn now to your 4 to 5 roundup. Recent data from the CDC shows 1 in 4 adults are now fully vaccinated, and the numbers get even better among adults older than 65. At least 57% of that population has received both doses of either the Moderna or Pfizer shot or 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The Biden administration says all adults in the U.S. will qualify to register for a vaccine by April 19th. Still, the director of the CDC says now is not the time to let our pandemic guard down. The World Health Organization is urging countries to stop the sale of live animals captured in the wild in food markets. The organization says wild animals are a leading source of infectious diseases like the coronavirus. Their new guidance says animals are responsible for more than 70% of diseases caused by viruses. The origin of COVID-19 that was first detected in China has been the source of intense speculation, and much of it has centered around the likelihood that it was passed to humans through a species sold at a Chinese wet market. A white Minnesota police officer who killed a black man during a traffic stop in Minneapolis, in a suburb of Minneapolis, I should say, has resigned. Kim Potter resigned on Tuesday, 2 days after the death of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. The Brooklyn Center police chief said he believes Potter mistakenly grabbed her gun Sunday when she was going for her taser. Potter can be heard on body camera video shouting, "Taser, taser." Activists say Wright was racially profiled. His death has sparked 2 days of clashes between police and protesters.
All right, weather-wise, pretty comfortable day to be outside across the Piedmont. We are warm, although running a couple degrees cooler than we were yesterday at this time, largely in part to some clouds that you probably noticed streaming in overhead as we've gone throughout the afternoon. Still, though, we're in the 70s, 76 in Burlington right now. We still have a bit of a breeze today. You can see those flags blowing in the breeze over Burlington. Also notice how green that everything has gotten over the last several weeks, and it's happened quite quickly. Also, that's the reason why the pollen has been so bad, too. Generally, temperatures are in the low 70s. Greensboro kind of sticking out like a sore thumb right now, actually. Only in the upper 60s. 68 in Greensboro now, 70 in Winston-Salem, 72 in High Point, 74 down in Asheboro. And a look at that visible satellite image does show you those clouds building in from the west, coming across the mountains and eventually making it into the Piedmont. Most of us are going to stay dry. Now, if you've looked at the radar in the last little bit, you see some rain out to our west, but the air is still really dry, so this rain is actually not making it down to the ground. So we've all managed to stay dry so far. Main thing we're watching is this area of low pressure down out of the Gulf. That is going to be heading our way as we go into your Wednesday. Likely brings us some scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Let me show you how Futurecast plays this out. There are no issues tomorrow morning. In fact, I think we do see some sunshine, but the clouds again will thicken up as we go throughout the afternoon, and mainly after about 3 o'clock is when we're going to be watching for a few scattered showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, and some of those could be on the strong or severe side. Overall, the severe threat is mainly pretty low for us here in the Triad. Little higher as you go up into northeastern North Carolina, but still, we'll be on guard for a strong or possibly severe thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon. It's still a warm day of weather. We're in the upper 70s tomorrow. Once that rain gets out of here going into Thursday, we'll actually cool things down a little bit and bring the dry weather back, I should say, going into the weekend. I'll show you that full 7-day forecast when we come back.
Strawberry season is now underway in North Carolina, and families across the state, they are eager to pick the summer crop. And one Triad farm is selling berries with a purpose. I caught up with the workers at Freedom House Farm in Summerfield to find out how they're helping women recover from addiction, one berry at a time. Volunteers and workers at Freedom House Farm in Summerfield are hard at work,
preparing for its second strawberry picking season.
So the days start pretty early. With the 5 acres of berries, there's definitely a lot to do.
In just 7 to 10 days, the farm will be open to the public. Director of Operations Stephen Farrell says he's ready.
And during this last harvest, I was amazed at the passion behind strawberries. We would have people lining up 2.5 hours before the stand opening to get a bucket of 1 5-pound bucket of strawberries.
But inside each bucket is more than just 5 pounds of the ripe, juicy fruit. Each bucket of strawberries purchased helps to grow the Freedom House Recovery Program, a 2-year residential program that helps women recovering from addiction.
So Freedom House actually provides 1 year of intense treatment and then a year of aftercare. During the second semester of that first year of treatment, the women's children can actually come live with them.
Farrell says the program is just one of a few in the country that allows children to live with their mother as they work to overcome their addiction.
And also the kids have been in and out of the women's lives for most of their lives. So to be able to have that stability while the mother's going through treatment is really important, and it makes us very unique.
Last year, the farm gained nearly $50,000 in revenue from strawberries. This year, it's hoping to exceed that goal and hopes to house more women in the program.
It's something that's really magical and miraculous that happens out here, which is why we opened up the U-Pick. We want people to come out and not only come to buy berries, but to spend time on the land and kind of learn what the Lord is doing, what's doing out here at Freedom House.
And Freedom House Farm is located off US 158 in Summerfield. The recovery program was actually created 15 years ago, and the farm actually started up just 3 years ago. So this year, in addition to the strawberries, they're also going to sell blueberries, tomatoes, raspberries, and blackberries as well. Lots of great crops.
It's interesting because to me there's so much symbolism there. You know, you plant the seed, you have to do the work, and there's growth, and then fruits of your labors and all that. It really does make sense that what they're doing is kind of developing someone from a seed to bearing fruit.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that this was happening, Lauren. The Freedom House is such a great organization right here in the Triad, and $50 million in sales. That's amazing and will certainly go a long way. I also love when you mentioned that they allow the women to keep their children there, because I do believe that is such an important part of the recovery process.
And I'm gonna be honest, you guys had me at first when we said this was about picking strawberries, but then as we get deeper into the story, we find out there are women that are being helped, and basically lives are being saved at this location at the Freedom House. So what a great program. Not only can you get some fresh strawberries, but if you know somebody or if you need some help yourself, you can receive that help there at the Freedom House out in Summerfield.
Absolutely. And Eric, like you were saying, they're planting the seeds to grow into a better person. Also, you know, we go through different seasons in our life, and this is strawberry picking season. So I like that analogy as well. Also, to keep in mind, Freedom House also has 2 thrift stores in Greensboro. And the women in this program, they actually work in the thrift store. So, you know, it's very structured. They learn life skills, and all the money at the thrift store also goes back into the programs.
I have to reiterate what Maddie said. Bringing your kids into that equation adds that extra kick that a lot of people need, that motivation to get back into that family unit again. Very important. Nice story. That was very good. All right, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. A Greensboro historic landmark is going full circle these days. The Magnolia House used to be one of the premier inns for black people during segregation in the mid-20th century. Now celebrities like James Brown, Ray Charles, Tina Turner, they all stayed there. It's been a restaurant and event location for a while, but it's about to go back to its beginnings. I spoke with Melissa Knapp at the Magnolia House to get the story. Melissa, I have been in the Magnolia House many times, and it's such a historic place. And this is cool that you guys are kind of redefining yourselves. Tell me what this all entailed.
Hi, so yes, we are trying to open up the historic Green Book Hotel again this year for overnight guests. So we'll still be doing what we've been doing with being open for brunches, special events, but we're also hoping to open up the 4 rooms upstairs to really give people that Green Book overnight experience.
So this would be a long process, and I would think would cost a good bit of money, and you guys are starting a fundraising campaign as we speak.
That's correct. So we, over the past 6 months, have already raised about $45,000, but we still have a ways to go. For this event, we'll have about a $100,000 fundraising goal, and that will cover all the costs that we would need to finish the repairs to the house, refurnish it, and open it to the public fully.
So I've been in there and I've seen all the pictures of the famous people that used to stay there when it was an inn. Can you talk a little bit about the history for people that aren't familiar?
Absolutely. So the Magnolia Hotel is one of the safe places for African American travelers to stay during the Jim Crow era. It was one of the most highly recommended places in Greensboro. So a lot of famous folks like Jackie Robinson, Ike and Tina Turner, and James Baldwin frequented the house, as well as a lot of parents of A&T and Bennett College students also stayed at the Magnolia House while they were visiting the college and visiting the students.
Melissa, thank you for taking time. This is wonderful. I hope this works, and we can't wait to see the finished product. And the place is beautiful. If you haven't been there, you really need to check it out, even before they do all these renovations. But it's fascinating when you see the numbers of people and jazz greats that stayed there, Miles Davis. So it's a huge piece of our history that now is going full circle.
Yeah, and I love how you keep repeating that full circle era, because it's so true. I mean, what a great way to pay respect to the past by bringing it back here in the present. And it's kind of becoming this living museum that you can interact with, stay at, eat at. So I think this is great.
Yeah, going along that, like you said, a living museum, me just coming to the area, knowing that there's a place like this where great people like Ray Charles and James Brown lived there, you get a sense of history when you come to visit. So I think that that's really cool, because I would definitely be gravitated to stay there as well.
It's one of those things that, you know, you go in it and like you mentioned, it's all kind of coming full circle now, but you go in it and you just kind of stand there and think, and you kind of just soak it in. And it's pretty, you know, it's pretty amazing to think all of the great folks who stay there, all the jazz musicians that have stayed there. So I think it's one of those things that you go and you kind of just have to stand in awe for a little bit.
And absolutely, Christian, I do believe you're right. And that's something that I've got on my list now to check out in our area. Just go in there and just take in some of the history and breathe in some of the air that some of these great people have been in their space that they've been in. And it's just to take some time and just recollect and just be thankful for, you know, the changes that time has brought to us.
I don't know what kind of record keeping they have, but it would be so fascinating to know that this was the Ray Charles room,
Yeah.
you know, so you could stay in the
maybe like a signature book or something.
Yes, of your favorite person that stayed there. It's pretty cool.
That would be
I just want to point out that Jalen has added so many things to his bucket list since becoming a full-time member of the 4 to 5, and I love that.
Such a hard time.
This was probably like 55. I'm not giving you a hard time. I think it's great, and I hope other people are adding to their bucket list after watching the show.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, it's only been like 9 things, maybe 10. We might be at 10 today.
I think there's at least
last week.
There's at least 10 things that involve food. I know that much.
Oh, absolutely. I'm always game to try a new food spot.
You and I.
Don't worry.
Let's
gonna
make it
hang out.
happen.
That's
Let's make it
right.
happen.
Hang
I
out.
have a list too.
There we go.
All right, Christian, what's happening with the forecast?
I'll tell you what, guys, actually a pretty nice afternoon to be outdoors in the Piedmont. A little bit cooler by a few degrees than we were yesterday. A lot of that is largely in part to some cloud cover that we have, especially building in as we've gone throughout the afternoon. Still, most of us are in the 70s this afternoon. You can see how those clouds have kind of taken over the sky for most of us across the Piedmont on our weather camera network. Greensboro, Burlington, Winston-Salem, High Point all showing up this afternoon. And you can see this on our visible satellite image. Those clouds have been working their way in from the west. Now, we have stayed dry. If you looked at the radar, though, looks like it's raining out to our west, but our air is still really dry. so all of that rain is actually not even reaching the ground. So we've all managed to stay dry so far. Our main concern is going to be for this system down over the Gulf. Now, this is an area of low pressure that's going to be working our way as we go into your Wednesday. Right now, high pressure is in control of our weather. That's keeping us dry, keeping us mostly sunny so far today. Clouds building in, though, as this area of low pressure tracks toward the Piedmont. It's also going to have a cold front trailing with it as well. Generally, this track of a low pressure system this time of the year would raise concerns for severe weather. Overall, though, tomorrow our severe weather threat is going to remain low. Mainly some showers and maybe a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Cold front is a little bit delayed. It doesn't slide by us until we go into Thursday, but it will bring some cooler air with it as we go into Thursday and Friday and also into the weekend. Let me show you how Futurecast plays this out. Again, a scattered shower this afternoon. This evening, not totally out of the question, but most of us should stay dry. Clouds continue to thicken up as we go into your Wednesday. There are no issues in the morning. Once we get after 3 o'clock, though, when we go towards the dinner time hour and into tomorrow night, that's going to be the better chance for us to not only have some scattered showers, but also a thunderstorm is possible. And some of those thunderstorms through tomorrow night could get a little bit bumpy or maybe even be strong or severe. Right now, again, overall, the severe weather threat is low, just a level 1 out of 5, and that's more to the east of the triad that you go. Still, we're going to be on guard and we're going to be watching. If any of those storms were to turn strong or get severe, main concerns are going to be for a damaging wind gust. But again, like we've seen the last several times with storm threats over the last couple weeks, we're also going to have to watch the possibility some of these storms could be big hailers as well. For the here and now, temperatures are generally in the upper 60s and low 70s across the board. Tonight, we'll drop it down into the low 50s under mostly cloudy skies. For your Wednesday, it's a warm day, 80 degrees, and we'll be watching for scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. After that, we're drying things out and we're cool to end the week. That's your forecast. Your 4 to 5 is coming right back after this.
Yep. I can hear Maddie like having a conversation in the background, so I don't know if viewers are going to be able to hear that. What? All right. I am talking about kids and how to have these difficult conversations like the Derek Chauvin trial. Yeah, I don't hear anything now. Whew, thank you for that.
As parents, you'd rather protect your kids from scary real-world events than expose them to the harsh realities of life. Unfortunately, you can't shelter your kids from learning about these events because they'll hear about it from social media, news, and talking to their friends. For example, many people right now are watching and talking about the Derek Chauvin trial. Chauvin is the former police officer who is charged for the murder of George Floyd. It can be difficult to have these conversations when you're feeling conflicted and perhaps might not be sure what to even say. And that's what Blanca Cobb is here to talk about today. Blanca has a master's in psychology. So Blanca, let's get right into it. How do parents start a conversation about a topic such as this, a serious topic like the Derek Chauvin trial?
First things parents want to do is understand what their kids know. And sometimes children can make it very easy because they might hear their parent talking about a trial or a situation. They might see you watching the television about it, or they might have questions because they've heard something from their friends or in the news. And a lot of times, children want to make sense of their world, and that's why they're very curious, and they will ask these difficult conversations or ask questions that lead to some difficult conversations, and parents want to make sure that they correct any misinformation.
Okay, absolutely. So there are different ways to talk to kids about these situations based on their age. How do parents go about talking to their younger children?
With the younger kids, you really just want to answer the questions on a need-to-know basis. You want to give them short and simple responses. You don't have to go into a lot of details. A lot of time with the younger children, they want to know that they're safe. They want to know that whatever situation happened isn't going to happen to them or their family. And that's where parents can come in and really provide a lot of reassurance.
Okay, so when it comes to the older children, how is that conversation different?
Having conversations with teens can be very different. Teens tend to want to know more details. They want to know the why, the how comes, the what ifs. Again, kids are trying to make sense of their world. They might ask you a question, but with teenagers, this is where parents can really be in the driver's seat by asking questions. Find out what your teens' thoughts are, because once you know what their base of knowledge is, it helps guide the conversation. Also, you might want to watch some of the trial with your teen. Why? Because let them start thinking about what's happening. Let them listen. My 16-year-old son has had an interest. He's watching the testimonies. He's listening to both attorneys talk. This is where he's asking questions, wants to know why, what if, why did this happen? Why couldn't they do this? And it's really important for their critical thinking skills, and also to continue to develop empathy, but also think about this. Children will become voters one day. Children need to be involved in the social issues that impact all of us. That's why it's so critical to have these difficult conversations with your kids.
Absolutely. A lot of families at home probably watching this trial and having some of these conversations. So great advice. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back. Make sure to join us for all the fun on the WFNY Facebook page.
Hey, what's up? Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody.
Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Checking the microphone. Checking the mic. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie. They forever go together.
Check. Mic check. Mic check. How you doing? Working on my web story. Typey type, 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 type. I wish I could type as fast as Tanya. She be in there clicking.
The CDC and the FDA are investigating blood clots in 6 women, one of whom died. They say the blood clots.
Do you think Tanya learned how to type so quickly from Mavis Beacon? I loved Mavis Beacon in computer class. Do they still have computer class in school?
Uh-oh, we're having
Oh,
trouble with
no.
Maddie's microphone. It's
a case of the Eric Chiltons.
It's the curse of being at home. And welcome to the 4 to 5. We're all here. That's all you need to know. Look at Maddie, the look of shock.
That's a look of shame. That's a look of shame.
We'll get it fixed.
We'll get it fixed. Well,
Yes.
make sure to join us on the WFNY Facebook page and chat with us on the 4 to 5 live stream.
Yep, we have a lot of fun there. We'll see you there in just a minute. Now, big news today, that would be the FDA and the CDC. They are recommending a pause in the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So this comes after 6 women developed rare blood clots. Now, Triad area vaccine clinics are following the FDA and the CDC's lead, and they're pausing the shots. Now, for more on the impact, WFNY News 2's Aduri Achumba joins us live from the mass vaccination site in Greensboro. Aduri.
That's right. The CDC and the FDA are investigating blood clots in 6 women, one of whom died. They say the blood clots happened between 6 to 13 days after the women got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And officials here at the mass vaccination site here in Greensboro at the Four Seasons Town Center say they are putting pause to plans to use the Johnson & Johnson vaccines for now. Now, 24,000 J&J vaccine appointments opened up on Monday for the week of April 21st to the 27th. But those folks will be informed if they'll have to get the Pfizer vaccine. Now, Cohen Health's clinics are switching the J&J vaccine appointments to the Moderna vaccines. Guilford County Health gave out around 2,000 J&J shots, and they don't have any J&J clinics happening this week, so there's no impact for them. I spoke with the Forsyth County Health Director, and here's what he had to say.
We only have 120 doses of Johnson & Johnson in our inventory versus almost 5,000 doses of Pfizer, so we had no Johnson & Johnson appointments planned at this time.
Now, state officials say the pausing of the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is only a precautionary measure. They are encouraging those who are affected, who have Johnson & Johnson vaccine appointments, to seek other alternatives using the other vaccines that are available.
Back in 2020, the Guilford County Detention Center in downtown Greensboro experienced a COVID-19 outbreak. Now, to prevent that from happening again, the Guilford County Sheriff's Office started vaccinating all inmates at jails. WFNY News 2's Jalen Gilkey found out what it's all about today.
Absolutely, guys. And starting at the beginning of this month, the Guilford County Sheriff's Office began offering Covert vaccinations for inmates in the Greensboro and High Point detention centers. Today, I spoke with Captain John Sellers about how and why this program came about.
The main goal is to protect the inmates from coronavirus, to provide them some sense of put their mind at ease and make them feel comfortable. Obviously, working in a jail and being housed in a jail for the inmates is difficult. So there are a lot of unknown things for them about coronavirus and how they can be protected. So by providing the vaccination, it gives them an opportunity to put their mind at ease and know that not only them are protected, but the people they're around are protected as well.
Inmates received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine at the beginning of this month before the CDC called for the pause of its use today. According to Captain Sellers, no more vaccines have been given out, and the Guilford County Detention Center has not seen any adverse reactions to the doses administered.
Anyone reach out to me, we do have. As of today, the CDC and FDA have unfortunately suspended the use of the vaccination or recommended not using it. So we're going to work closely with emergency management and the health department to see what we can do going forward.
Captain Sellers also informed me that the time of the vaccinations, the Justice Center downtown housed 498 inmates. 169 of those chose to get the vaccine, and in the High Point Detention Center, there were 167 inmates and 61 chose to get vaccinated there as well.
All right, thank you, Jalen. Guilford County Schools is holding a board meeting at 6 tonight to further discuss the reentry plan for more students in the county. As of right now, the board plans to bring back middle and high school students back to the classroom for 5 days a week. This is starting this Monday. The changes will also reduce social distancing from 6 to 3 feet, and students won't be required to go through health screenings prior to getting on a bus or entering the school. The district will keep the mask mandates and protocols in place.
Well, now we know both the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines have an effectiveness of over 90%, but in rare cases, fully vaccinated people can still get sick. So just how many people does this happen to? Take a look at what our Verify team found out.
So this claim comes from a recent real-world study that shows Pfizer and Moderna are 90% effective. But one news article in particular said that translated into reality, this means for every million fully vaccinated people who fly, some 100,000 could still become infected. But is that a fair estimate? So let's verify. Does 90% effectiveness mean out of a million vaccinated people, 100,000 will still get sick? To keep it simple, we're looking at this in the context of flying, since that's the context of the original claim. Our sources are the CDC and 3 separate studies on in-flight transmission of COVID-19. First, we need to define effectiveness. The CDC says it's a measure of how much a vaccine reduces disease risk compared to an unvaccinated group. So if your vaccine is 90% effective, that means a vaccinated person's risk is 90% lower than the risk of someone who isn't. It also means the 100,000 infected out of 1 million vaccinated scenario is based on the assumption that every single unvaccinated person who flies gets COVID-19. Now, common sense would tell us that's not happening, but to be sure, we looked at several studies on how COVID transmits on planes, and we found even on flights where COVID-positive people were on board, transmission was limited, and certainly not 100%. So we can verify 90% effectiveness does not necessarily translate to 100,000 people infected for every million people vaccinated. In fact, in most real-world scenarios where COVID transmission is not a 100% guarantee anyways, that number is likely less. With your Verify, I'm Vanessa Rufus.
Let's take a look now at the headlines in your 4 to 5 roundup. Today, the defense started presenting their case in the murder trial of Derek Chauvin. Attorneys began by showing a body camera video of a previous arrest involving George Floyd from back in 2019. The defense's first witnesses were a retired police officer and paramedic involved in that arrest. They say it was Floyd's drug use and not a heart issue that led to his death last year, instead of former officer Derek Chauvin pinning him down. The defense has not said whether Chauvin will take the stand in his own defense. Capitol Police Officer William Evans, who was killed in an attack earlier this month, is lying in honor at the Capitol Rotunda. President Joe Biden and congressional leaders gathered to pay tribute. The president said Evans is defined by his dignity, decency, loyalty, and courage. Evans served with the Capitol Police Force for 18 years. He was killed when a man rammed his vehicle into officers standing at a barricade. A second officer, Ken Shaver, was also hurt in the attack. The long-awaited flight of an $80 million mini helicopter carried to Mars by a rover is now on hold. Engineers are testing software to resolve a glitch that appeared during a pre-flight test. Now, if all goes well, the team hopes to get a new flight date next week. But good news, the helicopter did survive night 1 of frigid temperatures on Mars' surface. The Ingenuity helicopter was supposed to launch Sunday on a 30-second up and down flight to verify that it can lift off and land in the thin Martian atmosphere.
All right, we've got some sunshine at News 2 out in the weather garden. Of course, we also have plenty clouds across the area as well. Take a look, and hey, control room, if we can switch over to Max 2 real quick, that would be great. Of course, it is a warm afternoon, and with the dew points in the low 40s, well, it just feels pretty good to be outside. Even though we are a degree or two below where we were yesterday, most all of us are still sitting in the 70s today. 76 out in Burlington right now, and generally, we've had a little bit of a breeze in the outside today. You can see that evident on those cameras on the flags there blowing in downtown Burlington. You see it generally low and mid 70s all across the board. Greensboro's kind of been sticking out like a sore thumb in the upper 60s this afternoon. And if you look at radar, it looks like there's some rain, but actually none of that is reaching the ground. The air is just too dry with those dew points in the 40s. But our main concern and the main thing we're watching is this area of low pressure down over the Gulf. You can see it's a pretty nasty weather day down in Louisiana, and that area of low pressure will be working its way toward us as we go into your Wednesday. There are no problems tomorrow morning, but once we get after about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we'll have some scattered showers. We'll also need to watch the possibility for a couple thunderstorms as well. Some of those could be bumpy or even get severe. Just overall a low severe weather risk tomorrow, but we'll still be on guard and we'll still be watching that. Tonight, mostly cloudy. We could have a few showers or maybe a storm overnight, but temperatures dropping down into the low 50s. Going into your Wednesday, there's the planner for you. It's another warm day, near 80 in the afternoon. fine in the morning, but staying on guard for showers and maybe a couple strong or severe thunderstorms in the afternoon. We're clearing out going into Thursday. Drier and cooler weather will be on the way to end the week. I'll show you that full 7-day forecast coming up in minutes. We'll be right back.
All right, let's see. Okay, shoes matching the dress. Cute.
I know, right? What's really weird is I looked online because, you know, all right, so you're at the checkout line, right, in the store, and the bill's $125, which is more than you actually have in your account because another payment has gone through. All right, so you got two choices. Here are your choices, all right? So choice number one is you get approved for the purchase right there on the spot. Or choice number two, you get denied on the spot. So which one do you choose?
Okay, so no one wants to be denied at the checkout counter, but I'm betting, Tanya, if you do get approved for that purchase, it's going to cost me.
Oh, girl, it is going to cost you, yeah. Overdraft protection is what it's called, which would allow you to be approved even when you don't have the money. But then you're right, it slaps you a fee. So you were right on target.
And I can also see, though, overdraft protection is a safety net for sorts for customers as well.
Oh, sure. So like we all want to know that we're protected, right? The problem is this. Let's say you have 5 overdrafts, which is there on your side. Then you have 5 overdraft fees. Before you know it, you have a negative balance and you have all of those fees. So it's one of those ways that, you know, banks make money, right? And if you're using it this way with 5 in one day, then folks at home, you got to ask yourself if overdraft fee convenience is really worth the charges. But I want you to look at this. PNC Bank is now offering a service called low cash mode. And I watched a webinar on Zoom to see how it works. You set a threshold when you want to be alerted that your balance is just about to be below. Then you also set an alert to go off telling you how long before your account reaches 0 so that you have time to change and not be charged that overdraft fee. Now, PNC has piloted this program. The bank estimates that customers will avoid spending $125 to $150 million in overdraft fees a year, which means while you may be saving that cash, they're not making that cash.
You know, it's one of the more popular events at the historic Carolina Theater in downtown Greensboro, and as restrictions ease, the folks at the Carolina are welcoming back those classic movies that we love. I spoke with Marketing Director Megan Cope about the classic movie series and how it will play out this time. So Megan, this is one of my favorite events at the Carolina Theater, and when I heard recently that it's back, I couldn't be more excited. But I know things have changed, so tell us what we can expect this year.
We're excited to be back, and of course things are a little bit different as we dip our toes back into our Carolina Classic Movie Series. We're limiting our attendance to 250 guests, so we'd encourage everybody to buy in advance online if you're interested in joining us. We've got our seating in the auditorium segmented into 2, 4, and 6 person pods. So those, when anybody concerned about safe social distancing, we've got you set up in the auditorium. We've got our concession stand open. We're now doing paperless ticketing. We've updated our software, so hopefully it'll be a more streamlined process for everybody as we welcome them back downtown and back to the theater. And we couldn't be happier to be opening those doors and getting everyone back into the seats again.
All right, so let's talk about what movies you have, because that's what everybody wants to know. And I took a little sneak peek. There's some good ones here.
Oh yeah, we wanted to, welcome everybody back with some of their favorites. So we of course have our Hitchcock classics mixed in with some of our cult classics. So we've got Rear Window kicking us off, and we also have Vertigo and North by Northwest, but we're also mixing in The Princess Bride and The Big Lebowski, The Goonies. We also have Imitation of Life coming up in June, which was a huge film for us last year before the pandemic slowed things down for us. And we're excited to welcome everyone back and kick off the film series again with some of those classics that people love to see on the big screen.
Yeah, it's just not the same when you watch them at home than when you watch them in there, and this is a rare opportunity for us to do that. Thank you so much, and good luck with everything, Megan. Keep us posted. So this got me thinking about what is your favorite classic movie. So I asked you this on Facebook, and here's what you had to say. Answers were all over the place. Donnie here says, Lonesome Dove. He says, you just don't get a cast in a movie like that too often. David said, Being There. I remember that movie with Peter Sellers. What seemed like a crazy concept, he says, for a novella and a movie is a great deal like the times we're living in now. Dakova says, I got to go with The Sandlot. 2 reasons. 1, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, and 2, you're killing me, Smalls. Wendy Morris says, Pretty in Pink and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The original, she says, they top my list. Many genres and favorites, though. Teresa says, I love the original Miracle on 34th Street with John Payne and Natalie Wood as the little girl. Scott Lynch says, The Wizard of Oz, because there's no place like home. So many different, let's be honest, there's probably 100 we could name that we consider classics. I don't think I could pick just one. That'd be impossible.
I was able to pick one.
So
The Parent Trap, I like the 90s version and the 60s version, when the twin sisters are separated. When I was younger, I thought it was 2 different people. I didn't know it was one actor playing both the twins.
Both roles,
yeah,
yes.
so that was just always fascinating to me. And I know all the words by heart.
Oh, there you go.
I'm going to be honest.
I love...
Go ahead, Maddie. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I can't see you, so I don't know when you're about to speak. I have no physical cues. I need my body language expert, Blanca Codback. No, I love Singing in the Rain. I will watch it when I have the best day, when I have a horrible day. It just makes me happy. It elevates my mood. I also, if I really want to commit to sitting down and watching a movie, I can turn on Gone with the Wind.
Oh, okay. So we're kind of on a similar page with the longer movies. I actually commented on your post, Eric, and said one of my favorite classic movies is Superfly.
Ooh.
I love Superfly. It's a great movie. But another option I would choose, if we had kind of like an all-day event, give me all of the parts of The Godfather and just give it to me right in theater, and give us I'll pay more. It's fine. I'll pay for 3 tickets or whatever. We'll make it happen.
But
all-day event.
Jalen did not say all of his quote on my Facebook page. He said, because who wouldn't want to ride around in El Dorado with a mink coat? So there is that.
Don't forget the El Dorado, baby.
I'm with you on The Godfather. I could watch all those movies all day long. Those are great.
Absolutely.
We need to find out what Christian's favorite is.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that.
there's too many to name. Get back with me in about 5 minutes. Quiet weather across the Triad right now, but you might have noticed those clouds building in overhead this afternoon, and that's just a precursor of things to come as we go into your Wednesday. There's one more warm day on the way tomorrow. There's no issues in the morning, but as we go into the afternoon and into the evening, we're going to be keeping our eyes on the chance for at least a few scattered thunderstorms or scattered showers and maybe a few thunderstorms as well. Some of those could be on the strong or severe side. We're mainly going to be watching for a damaging wind concern or also the possibility of these storms being hailers like we've seen over the last several thunderstorm days we've had here in the Triad. Behind that cold front, it will bring drier weather. It will also bring some cooler weather. Instead of being in the mid and upper 70s, we'll be in the mid and upper 60s going into Thursday and into Friday. Low rain chance right now over the weekend. Still some uncertainty with that, but our temperatures do stay very comfortable. 60s and into the low 70s over the next 7 days, and not a whole lot of rain. That's a good thing to see. And that's your forecast. Your 4 to 5 is coming right back.
Oh my God, the service out here is fucking terrible.
Is that what it is? Hey, mic check 1 2 3. What's your password, Brent? Hello, hello, hello. 1 2 3. Can you hear me? Oh, perfect. This is low data mode. Okay, now let's see.
Plans to use a Johnson & Johnson vaccines for the final week of the
Joshua. Police arrested 2 people, Joshua Padgett and Nicole Newby. Both have been charged.
Hello, today is Tuesday in Greensboro, North Carolina. All right.
Hi, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska.
The worst. Here's the thing, we started out friends. I do not know why I had that song in my head.
I don't know. I'm all for you auditioning for American Idol, though.
I think I saw a picture for
It's time for my 2 cents. I was thinking the other day about how we try to fit everything in a figurative box. Think about it. Everything gets labeled somehow. Something is good, something is bad. This person is happy, this person is sad. This food is healthy, that food is junk. We even put ourselves into boxes. Everywhere I turn, there's another personality quiz or way to label yourself. Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, love languages. We want there to be order, so we box ourselves up. And I think it's fine to understand the overall way you work, your big personality traits. But I think boxing ourselves up can also be very limiting. Things that conflict can be equally true. You can be resilient and also need a break. You can be kind and have boundaries. You can be independent and still need others. There's power in and thinking and danger in either or thinking, and that's a hard thing to realize. So personally, I love to set goals and achieve them. My favorite thing to do in the morning is to make a checklist and mark off tasks. But I also love lazy days where I take a break and don't accomplish much of anything. That doesn't mean I'm not goal-oriented. It just means that I'm that, and I recognize when I need time off. Just because you are something most of the time doesn't mean you have to be that all of the time. Don't put yourself in a box and limit who you are. That's my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Following the recommendation by the CDC and the FDA, North Carolina is putting a pause on the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine. This comes after 6 women